Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Shea Station podcast, the best place to get your New York Mets news over here at Jomboy Media. And hey, your New York Mets, your 10-win New York Mets, are currently the best team in baseball. Is it time to overreact, Jerry?
It's never time to overreact like that. You can feel good when it's time to feel good. Understand that it's a long season, but your team's in first place. They have the first to 10 wins. You know, it hasn't been the hardest of schedules, but not the easiest either. There's so many good signs. Enjoy it, man. It's fun. Understand that there's a long season, but enjoy it.
I'm definitely basking in it right now. The Mets have already opened a 4-game lead in the NL East, which is pretty cool. Kind of a hard thing to do with only 14 games into the season, but somehow we've managed that. Our New York Mets had an incredible series against a very good San Francisco Giants team that bulked up in the winter with some new pieces, and it looked like we were ready to stand toe-to-toe with a Major League Baseball titan, which was very cool and a very good sign for this team going forward.
This was the first test of 4 tough games. Teams that the San Francisco Giants have a philosophy, they have a game plan. They're coming in every game prepared for everything, and so it was nice to take 3 out of 4 there.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely saw some of those game plans early on in some of the games here. We're going to talk about that in our series recap, but the Mets take 3 of 4.
I just want to. This is an exciting time for Shea Station. We are in studio. You are there in the new Jomboy Media offices. This has been a kind of a long time coming. We're going to have some audio drops. We're going to have a couple of new segments.
It's crazy,
so stick with us. They're going to be fun. We're going to try to put some music, our man Audio Jack, who, like Luis Guillorme, is freshly shaven. I saw his face a little bit.
No beard for
looking
Jack
young and spry and handsome as ever.
He'll be back in 2 weeks.
He's going to be dropping some buttons and pushing some music so it's an exciting time for the Mets, and it's an exciting time for Shea Station.
Yeah, and before we get into our sponsor for today's episode, I feel like I want to share a secret with our Shea Station listeners because we've come so far and we've made it here. I think for basically the entirety of Shea Station's existence, me and Jerry have been pretend dancing to the intro and concluding music because we couldn't hear it through our headphones because we never had a setup. Except for the PPPs, right? Because we were in person together. But yeah, we've been lying to you guys, so we apologize for our video viewers that saw us dancing.
I don't know if I did the fake dancing quite as extremely.
I really sold it. I really tried to.
Yeah, you did a lot of this one.
Yeah, it's kind of my white guy move,
Yes. For as tan as you are,
yeah,
you did a lot of white guy moves.
Guys, today's episode is brought to you by DraftKings. Duh. Come on, guys. Baseball fans, it's time to step up to the plate with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. New customers can bet just $5 on any team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. Bet on your Mets. Why not? They're playing really well right now. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still take a swing at stacks of green with DraftKings daily fantasy baseball contests, and new customers can play free for thousands of dollars in prizes with their first deposit. Pick a lineup of 2 pitchers and 8 batters while staying under the salary cap and rack up points for hits, runs, strikeouts, and more. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, and best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. So once again, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code JOMBOY, bet just $5, and win $200 in free bets if your team wins the game.
Excellent. Great job.
Not too shabby. Should we talk about this series? I think I'll take
let's jump in. Let's skip the rain day and just right into the doubleheader.
Hell yeah. So,
that was kind of nice.
Mets got rained out on Monday, I believe. So we had a doubleheader on Tuesday, a very daunting doubleheader with a couple tough matchups. In game 1, it was Tyler McGill versus a newly revamped Alex Cobb who was pumping 95, which was crazy. The Giants had a game plan versus Tyler McGill, which was swing early in the count whenever you get a pitch to hit. McGill only threw 5 pitches in the first inning, but his first 3 innings were tough as a whole. 4 earned runs, 6 hits, a walk, and a home run in those first 3 innings. The Giants jumped out to a big lead. McGill's velo was a little bit down. It was a little bit brisk there. I think his confidence was wavering a little bit. But this Mets offense really has their shit together. They rallied for 3 runs in the 5th inning with clutch doubles from Jeff McNeil and Francisco Lindor. That inning, Alex Cobb also left with an injury. He hit the 10-day IL. We hope that he gets well soon. Tyler McGill responded really, really well to this adversity. His latter 3 innings after those first 3, no earned runs, no hits, 1 walk. He finishes 6 strong. Very veteran outing from the young kid there. And then the Mets bullpen, who has looked much more tidy in recent games. They give us 4 innings of 2 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. That's Joely, Seth, Diaz, and Otto. An outstanding stretch from Pete Alonso in the 10th inning, saved a run on an errant Lindor throw. Lindor returned the favor for that save by getting the walk-off single in the bottom of the 10th. The Mets took a very emotional Game 1, 5-4 in 10 innings. Huge win.
That was excellent. A couple of things. The Pete Alonso stretch on the errant throw, the up-the-line throw from Lindor, that's huge for many reasons. One being Lindor can trust Pete a little bit more. He's solid. Pete's solid there, but that was like a signature defensive play, like tip of his toe on replay. They called him safe because it looked live, like no doubt, but that saved the game because that prevented the run from scoring. And then in the bottom, he hit the walk-off single. It was wonderful. And then you mentioned McGill battle. So the Giants came in with a game plan to attack early. His velo was down, but this is kind of where I expect him to sit mostly, 94-96, which is hilarious that that's down.
Yeah.
But they had a game plan. They were very patient throughout the whole season, one of the most patient teams on first pitch, but they jumped all over him because they had an idea coming in, and that's the genius of the Giants. They're like, look, we're going to get to this kid. He throws a lot of first pitch fastball strikes. Let's jump on it. And they did. But the second 3 innings, like his last 3 innings were brilliant. Show some guts and some wherewithal and some veteran understanding of the game to be able to take a breath and get back to it. Very impressive first win of the doubleheader.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It was encouraging by Tyler McGill because it's very easy to let that thing kind of just balloon and turn into a blow-up outing. But those last 3 innings really kept the Mets in the game and allowed the offense to, put together that kind of rally that could tighten up the game once again. And that's the kind of thing you need out of your starting pitcher if he's going to remain in the rotation going down the stretch, is to not give up on an outing after a rough start. So that was a really encouraging sign from McGill. And then, hopefully he'll bounce back nicely for his next start.
I think so as well. So here is Game 2 of the doubleheader, Game 2 of the series. If you guys know anything, it's really hard to sweep the front and back end of a doubleheader. So this was the gem of the whole series for me, Max Scherzer versus Logan Webb. If you don't know the name Logan Webb, look it up because this guy is going to be special for a long time to come. So this was a real genuine pitching battle. Luckily for the Mets, Max Scherzer shined. It's his best outing, his signature Mets outing. He ended up going 7, giving up that 1 earned run on 1 hit, 3 walks, and his like a millionth time getting a double-digit strikeouts with 10. I think on the broadcast, Gary said it was like his 105th double-digit strikeout start, which is unbelievable if you think about it. But the Mets look great at the plate. There was a lot of 2-out rallies in that 3rd inning. They had a big 2-run, 2-out double from Eduardo Escobar and an oppo single from Dom. That proved to be, what it was. That's Scherzer. Ended up being 3-1 Mets. Scherzer pitched. He has not taken a loss in 22 consecutive decisions, which is tied for the 12th longest streak in modern baseball history. That's wild.
Crazy stat. Crazy.
We got a beautiful inning from Drew Smith, and then Trevor May came in and threw and got the save to finish out the W. Drew Smith is not allowed an earned run over his last 12 2/3 innings dating back to last season, and Trevor May gets the save and didn't look to be bothered by that little hiccup in Philly. Overall, just an amazing win for the Mets to get the front and back end against Logan Webb. And this was, as we aforementioned earlier, Guillorme debuted. He struggled. He was like 0 for 11, 0 for 12 to start the season. I haven't seen his face since like 2015. It was strange. It looked like I hadn't seen the sun for that long. And so he came out and got a knock. So shout out to him for ending it. That's what you got to do sometimes to rattle things up. But it was a big, important Game 2 win because you get the doubleheader right off the bat in a series where you're going to face this team 4 times. That was lovely.
Yeah, I was in the house for the second game there, which was a lot of fun. I've never seen Citi Field that packed on a cold, rainy Tuesday in April, but the fans were there and they were loud. And I think Max Scherzer was riding off that energy because, he said in the offseason that he loves pitching in New York and he loves the energy that it brings, but he's never been on this side of being rooted for by New York. And I think that he really rode that. We know how good Max Scherzer has been at Citi Field. He is a no-hitter at Citi Field. He tortured the Mets for years, for 6 years. At our home ballpark, and I think that it's really going to become a home for him. It looked like he looked really comfortable. He had a couple fly balls to the warning track, but that's kind of the benefit of Citi Field. A lot of balls just don't go out.
Yeah, that's him too. He's a fly ball pitcher. So.
Yep. And 5 2/3 no-hit innings for Max to start that start on Tuesday. Huge win.
He had that swagger going. He had that walk, punch out. He punched out like the third out a couple of times. And just seeing him do that head down mad dog walk. I love it.
This whole series, there's just a bunch of clips of him doing finger guns, dancing in the dugout. I was like, who is this guy? This is not the demon that I've faced for 6 years. Absolutely crazy. The Mets looked really good against a very good pitcher in Logan Webb. That 2-out rally was huge. I feel like Webb probably would have gone 6 if we just didn't blow him up in the third there. Eddie Escobar is super clutch. Dom Smith had a great oppo liner there. And these Mets just looked like they were ready to go toe-to-toe with the National League Titan. It was a very cool day on Tuesday.
Yeah, man, they came to play. Love to see it. That's some of the things we were talking about with Buck, and thank goodness he's healthy. There was a little scare in this series, but that's what you want from a team that's got World Series aspirations and veteran leadership. This is the type of thing you want. 2 9 innings. That's a long day to be at the ballpark. It's still crappy weather, so you're feeling it. And so guys just came out ready. They bounced back in game 1 and then showed up in game 2, right off the bat. So it was cool to see, man. Good day of baseball.
So game 3 rolls around. We don't have Buck at the helm. He's dealing with some health issues. He is okay. Thankfully, he returned for game 4. So it was the trio of coaches of Jeremy Hefner, Eric Chavez, and the bench coach of the Mets, whose name I'm forgetting, so apologies to him. Chris Bassett got this start, and the Giants used the exact same strategy they used against Tyler McGill and jumped him early and often. He had a rough first 2 innings. He gave up 4 runs, including a mammoth home run to Jock Peterson. Bassett still battles. He goes 6, 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks, 97 pitches. He was not satisfied with this outing. We learned in post-game pressers, but, he battled. I was impressed with him down the line to sort of keep the Mets in the game after that early blow-up. But Carlos Rodon looked really, really good. The Mets could not touch his fastball. He could have pounded it as his only pitch the entire day, and I think he would have fared exactly the same as he did. He goes 5 shutout innings, strikes out 8 guys there. The Mets had a rally brewing in the 7th inning. First and third, a Marte RBI single got them in that position, and then just, poorly timed aggression, I think. I don't know if it was the coach's call or Marte on his own volition, but Marte went for a steal of second base, gets caught, kills the rally. The Mets leave it at 5-1. But this is a Mets team that I feel like is not going to go away quietly pretty much all season. Innings 7, 8 through 9, we had a rally going pretty much every single inning, like a threat of some sort. In the 8th, it was another first and third situation, a Cano ground out, and then Dom lined out to Wilmer Flores, who just leapt and made a great catch. That probably would have been a 2-run single to make it 5-4. Instead, it remains 5-2. Jake McGee came on. He shut down the door there. We challenged a double play. We got through it, and then Lindor struck out to end the game. The big takeaways here for me are Jason Shreve, another scoreless frame for him. Sean Reed-Foley, who kind of had some tough luck earlier on, got batted around in the Philly series. He bounced back with 2 shutout innings to close this game, but the Mets do lose game 3, 5-2, but came back strong for game 4, so good for them.
Yeah, game 3 was interesting. Rodon, like you mentioned, just was dominant. He looked great. But this is what a good team does. They get to the bullpen. He only lasted 5 innings, and then they tried to rally back. They were in positions to win the game, to battle. I love that after the game, Bassett was like, what are you going to learn from this? I'm not going to learn anything from this.
I love that answer.
I was terrible, whatever the case may be. I'm not going to learn anything. He is learning something, and he just doesn't want to admit that in a loss, it doesn't feel good. Great. The more and more, I'm happy that fans on the Mets, because I talked about it this whole offseason, how excited it was going to be for the Mets fans to get introduced to Chris Bassett. And he's showing the full gamut of his personality, his honesty, his forthcomingness. I'm not going to learn anything from this. I sucked. Sorry.
I feel like every time we see pitchers talking in the dugout or looking at the iPad or whatever, Chris Bassett is in the middle of that conversation.
He's going to be in the middle of the hitters too. He's going to get in there. You learn so much stuff from everybody. It's contagious because he's a fun, easy to be around guy. And so it really helps. That rallies. The Wilmer Flores' return, and he steals a huge opportunity from Dom Smith, who's looked good. He had 2 hits in game 2, and then came back and had this like line drive the other way, and Wilmer went up and got it. We had chances to win, chances to extend the game, and that's all you want. You want a chance to get a W, and it just came up a little short.
Yeah, I think that a loss like this hurts a lot less than the loss in Philly, because that was a game that was right in our palm. Whereas this game, we had our chances to succeed and bring it close again. But the Giants are a very good team, and they just played better defense. They had great pitching. It felt like we got outplayed.
Yep, and that's going to happen in a 4-game set with a good team. So that moves us to game 4. This was the Cookie versus DeSclafani.
Nice, nailed it.
Battle. Yeah, so Cookie versus Disco. I mean, that sets it up pretty perfect. And Cookie was incredible. He came out on fire. Like, he looked great. He ended up going 7 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, the one in the 8th, the solo home run, 0 walks, and 7 punch outs. Pure dominance. That's what it was. Just a wonderful battle. The Mets ended up taking this one 6-2. You got home runs from Lindor, who apparently is a DH extraordinaire.
Apparently.
Got a home run from Lindor. Eddie Escobar came in and got a big home run. The Mets jumped out early. Mark Canha looking great, brings in 2 RBI with a 2 out to open it up to 5-1 and give him a little bit of breathing room. It let Cookie go into the 7th, into the 8th inning, because they don't need to change it up if he gives up a run here or there. At one point, Cookie retired 18 straight batters. He just looked dominant. He really did. He's looked great every single start. It's so refreshing to see, and such a good person who's battled through a lot to look like he's at 100%. It really helps this Mets team. He has 20 Ks and only 2 walks and 3 starts. That is wonderful. Multi-hit games from the freshly shaven Luis Guillorme, from Pete Alonso, from Mark Canha, and Francisco Lindor. And then to cap off the W, Edwin Diaz comes in and strikes out 2 in a perfect 9th inning. He looks spot on. There's so many things. Good. There's so many question marks in this Mets season, things that we needed. And Edwin Diaz, being as sharp as he's been, is one of the main keys, because it was such a big question mark. And he has looked, I hope everybody has been, at ease a little bit more when Diaz comes into the game, because he looks incredible.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many awesome takeaways from this game 4. Obviously, the biggest one is that the Mets took 3 or 4 from last year's best team in baseball in the regular season. That is a huge victory. We have one more series against San Francisco, but to get off on the right foot like this and achieve and succeed in your first true challenge is such an encouraging sign for the team. Obviously, Cookie Carrasco looked amazing. I think the Mets offense really paved the way for him.
He got that standing O coming off the field. That was
and he
lovely.
Deserved it.
The Mets fan absolutely deserved it. That was great to see.
The big thing for Cookie, for me, so far, is that, 1, the first innings have looked a lot better, which is great, because that was what plagued him last year. Another thing is that the Giants really bullied him last year in his start, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. And then the other thing is that he has 20 strikeouts, only 2 walks on his 3 starts so far in the season. So he's really controlling the zone. If you're going to hit Cookie, you're going to have to, attack him right back. And he's not afraid to challenge guys. After that rough last year where his velo was a little bit down, his pitches weren't zipping the same way that they used to. This looks like the Cookie that we saw in 2018 and prior in Cleveland. And it just makes that trade all the more better, because he was like the add-on to the trade, but he can really be a true number 2, number 3 in this rotation if he's reaching this kind of potential.
Yeah, I mean, he looks every bit the part, the guy that we needed. So he's fitting in great. He's a huge member and a huge piece of this run that we've had, the first to 10 wins. You got to feel good as a Mets fan. You got to feel good moving forward, because it's everything. All the parts that you needed have been great. And some of the parts that we were curious about, Jeff McNeil looks like he's returned. Mark Canha's as advertised. Starling Marte still kind of a little bit wavery. I think he's putting a little bit of pressure on himself to kind of steal some bags, because he got the big paycheck. He stole 47. That's an exciting part of the game. So I think he might be a little more selective now. But again, this is what a good team does. Other pieces step up and pick up the loss. He hasn't been bad in any sense. He's been really good. But the speed aspect of his base running, I don't think we need it as of yet. It's going to be a disruptor moving forward. He's going to be a big part. His speed is still great. And you're going to get those things where he gets thrown out to end a rally. It is what it is, because if he gets it, it's a huge boost, whatever the case may be. But man, all the pieces look great. Eddie Escobar looks incredible.
I was going to say,
take a deep breath, because he looks like he's the guy that we traded and signed to that 10-year deal. Awesome.
A huge moment for me personally was the Mark Canha 2-run single in the third, because you had the Lindor single, you had the Jeff McNeil double that looked like it was going to be a home run. We got to see him yell "fuck me" as he ran into the bases, which I loved. Love that they showed that on replay, because they didn't have to. But then you had Alonso and Eddie not come through in that spot. And the 2021 Mets, when I think about that team, I think about that team leaving runners on and not taking the runs where they can get them. That is an issue that plagued us, especially through August when we couldn't buy a win to save our lives. That Mark Canha hit, maybe in the grand scheme of things, it's not as huge. It makes it a 5-1 game. It opens the lead. But then it allows Cookie to go deeper into the game. And then it allows you to save the bullpen a little bit. And you're going to need your bullpen on Sunday, because we have a spot starter going on Sunday. And that's probably going to be a bullpen game. And that is just like a long-lasting effect of just one simple at-bat from Mark Canha coming through when we needed him. And it changes the outlook of an entire future game, which I thought was really interesting. So huge hit by him. And that's just not what the 2021 Mets did. And I feel like that's the difference from season to season here. Cool.
I love that you highlighted that. Mark Canha has looked incredible, hitting the ball the other way, pulling his hands in, pulling it. He's a complete hitter. He's got an idea. He's a professional. And that's the depth of the Mets lineup. As a pitcher, there is no letting up. You get the two big boppers with RBI opportunities. They didn't come through. And then you try to take a deep breath, and then you have Mark Canha up at the plate, just spoiling shit for you. Like, it's pretty frustrating. It can pile on to guys. And that's what we wanted. We wanted that depth, that deep lineup. These are signature kind of Mets moments that are the difference. Like you mentioned, multiple years in the past, it's runners with scoring position. And you wrote it down in our notes here, 9 for 32 in this series with runners in scoring position. That's 281. And there were 7 2-out RBI from the Mets. Those are big deals. Those are backbreakers for teams, because you're almost out of it. And in a series of 4 games against some really talented pitching, that's a telltale sign of you have a quality team.
And after being a bottom 10 team in 2-out RBIs last year, the Mets lead the major leagues in 2-out runs this year with 31 so far. They also lead in runs and hits as well with 66 and 117. This is an offensive lineup that has their shit together. They're cohesive. They're feeding off each other. We've put out a lot of different lineups. Luis Guillorme started 3 games this series, which was kind of shocking to me. But at the same time, it just seems to be working. Like, Jeff McNeil responded really well to moving from second base to left field to second in the lineup to first to third to eighth to ninth. He's bounced all around, only 14 games into the season. But with this kind of lineup, with all these table setters and guys that are getting these clutch 2-out hits, that kind of thing can work. And I really think that's just the brain of Buck right there.
I agree. And we lost Canha and Nemo for a couple of days, so it was nice to see them get back in and step right back up and look comfortable. Nemo looked great. Obviously, we highlighted Canha. But the Mets bullpen, who's kind of still been a little bit of a question mark. We've seen some hiccups from Trevor May and Seth Lugo. But over the last 5 games, they've gone 15 innings, only given up 5 hits in 15 innings, 6 walks and 16 punchouts. That's wonderful. That's a great run of the last 5 games. You give up 0 runs in 15 innings. That's excellent.
Absolutely. And that was the key in game 1. And game 1 kind of set the tone for the rest of the series, in my opinion. If you don't get those 4 shutout innings from those guys, the game gets away from you pretty easily, because the Giants bullpen is that good. Also, how about this Francisco Lindor stat from James Shiano, a good friend who does the Mets Step podcast with Mark Luino. Francisco Lindor hit his 4th home run in Game 4 of the set. That was on April 21st. Last year, it took him till May 29th to get his 4th home run. So that is just the change in slugging for Francisco Lindor this year, who's drawn walks, hitting doubles gap to gap, and also hitting the ball at the park. It's awesome.
I agree. And I want to shout out that Mets Up podcast, because they have 2 of the best Twitter handles ever.
Oh, yeah.
With James being at Jeter Had No Range and Mark being at Giraffe Neck Mark. Like, it's
great. They do a
Those are
great
solid.
job.
They
Good
beat
friends
at
of
Jerry
ours.
Blevins and at Jolly Olive. So
Yeah, we're kind of vanilla compared to them, I guess.
yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
fair. I'll take it. But
We got to
that's,
step up our game.
giraffe neck Mark. I got some giraffe neck,
A little bit. I could see
characteristics,
it.
but we're good.
I could see it. I think your neck is longer than his, right? So I feel like it should be
I
giraffe neck
mean,
Jerry.
probably straight up measured, but I shockingly have a super thick neck. Every time I get measured, like for a shirt or a suit, they're like, they do it 3 times. They're like, there's no way because, yeah, they're like,
We have
well, I got a
nothing that
lot
fits you.
I got a dense skull, real thick, so it's got to be able to hold that head up. So
Were you like dropped as a baby? Is that what we're talking about
probably
here?
that would
Okay.
explain so many things.
Yeah, I think it would actually.
Let's
Jerry.
move on.
Is it time?
I think it's time. We are about to unveil the newest segment for the Shea Station podcast.
You want to tell us the title since you thought of it?
I did. The title is Apple of Our Eye. It's beautiful.
Yes.
So we're going to highlight our favorite player. Jolly will do one. I will do one of the series. Since every podcast is each a recap of a series and a preview of the new one. We're going to highlight the person that caught our eye, the apple of our eye. And I will go first.
Yeah, you should do the honors.
I will go first. It is my guy, Double E, Eduardo Escobar. Man, it was fun to watch him kind of shine in this series. He's been a little bit overshadowed in the acquisitions kind of in general. I think people have overlooked him for a lot of things this year. But he blossomed. He hit his first home run, a big one in this series. He went 6 for 13, 2 doubles, a home run, 3 RBI, 3 walks on the year. So he drew his 12th walk of the season in game 4. He didn't draw 12 walks until May 29th of last season. So if that's a number of games, like it's not even comparable. And this year's OPS on the whole year, not just this series, is 1,055, 1.055 OPS. What an acquisition. What an overlooked person. Like the teams, he hasn't been highlighted hardly ever, except for true, dynamite Mets fans. But 6 for 13 is a wonderful series, and that big home run that he hit. He was so excited to hit that home run. You could see it take a big sigh of relief for him. And he's just an on-base machine, man. He leads the National League with 7 doubles as well. So doubles, 12 walks. The guy's just getting it done. He's protecting Pete. So I wanted to Eduardo Escobar as the apple of my eye.
Little round of applause for Eduardo Escobar.
Oh, little shortcut there. Let's try it again. A little round of applause.
Another one? Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Okay. All right, we're working on it.
All right. My apple is going to go to someone else. I thought about Francisco Lindor. He had a great series. Ooh. 7 for 19, 2 doubles, a home run, 3 ribbies, 1.034 OPS on the year. I'm going to change mine because this outing meant a lot to me as a Mets fan and a human being, because I love great human beings, as Jerry knows, as Jerry does as well. Mine is going to go to Cookie Carrasco because if you listen to our PPP on Cookie, I was very walking on eggshells. Wasn't sure what we were going to get out of him. Wasn't sure if he was healthy. But the one thing that I kept saying is that out of everyone that I followed on social media and checked in on every day with our Mets, I never saw somebody training and working every day as hard as Carlos Carrasco during the offseason. Because I think that is how badly he wanted to prove that he can still do it at the major league level. He had a really tough 2021 season. I think he came back too early, did it for the Mets team that needed some length, needed some innings, and he got roughed up because of it. And I think that altered Mets fans' perception of what this guy is capable of. And in a rotation with Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett, and a resurgent Tyler McGill, who's really having a standout sophomore season, the best pitcher in our rotation right now is Carlos Carrasco. And I think that's so amazing because his story is already amazing as is. But this is like a dream come true for me because this is maybe the most likable guy on the Mets. A Mets team full of likable guys. And Cookie Carrasco is the one that, touches my soul the most there. 7 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 7 Ks, no walks. Love a starter that doesn't allow any walks. I think that's great. It's like one of my favorite things. Cookie retired 18 guys in a row. He was making this Giants lineup that tortures pitchers and are just pests to every team they face. He made them look lost. They had no game plan for him, His slider and changeup were working beautifully. His fastball has that zip again. And Cookie is really back, and it just changes the whole outlook of this rotation. It gives you this number 2 to number 3 caliber pitcher that you weren't sure that you had. And then you also have DeGrom and Scherzer and Bassett on top of that. And that just makes that 1 through 4 for a playoff series like lethal. Like there's no breathing room for hitters anywhere if Cookie is this kind of pitcher all year. So I'm rooting for Cookie more than probably any other Mets player right now. And it's just been awesome to see how terrific he's been so far. So Cookie gets the apple of my eye.
Round of applause. Just 3 hard claps, if that's good. I love it, man. I love that you picked Cookie because he deserves it, man. His line was really good, but it actually doesn't show how effective he was because the Mets fans, they're great. They gave him a standing O on his way off the field, and it really was deserved. It was like a moment where he was just like, he deserved that. The Mets fans were excited for him. It's been wonderful. And so we're in New York, correct?
Yeah.
This is home of Sesame Street. If we can't get Cookie Carrasco, who's an amazing story, like you mentioned, a cancer survivor, like just a great guy, if we can't get him onto Sesame Street with Cookie Monster, where there's some type of interaction, then
what are we doing? Like,
what are we doing?
Like, what are we doing?
That would be, because in my head, every time you said Cookie, I'm thinking Cookie. Like, I think that would be a wonderful thing. We need to set that up. And that's one of the joys about being in New York. That is a legit possibility. And he's a dad himself. So to get on Sesame Street, that would be wonderful.
His kids would love it, probably,
All right. Awesome. You want to move on to our second
new segment?
Also
your idea.
Are we going to do this every week, or is this kind of just spotlighting?
I think it's not something we've done enough. So I feel like when it catches our attention, we should. We have a lot of great listeners on our show that interact with all of our posts and reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram. And I feel like Jerry specifically wants a spotlight for those people. And I agree that I think it's a good idea because, Shea Station, I had some growing pains and now it's turned into a show that I think we're both really proud of. And that's because of you guys, because of the listeners. So we both have one person that we want to shout out this week. Jerry, if you want to lead in, because I saw your interaction.
I'll do it. It's something that caught my eye. It's no offense to anybody else I've interacted with, but this one was it. So his name on Twitter is @DylanBurke27. He is a Mets fan living in Japan. So he's in Zama, which is outside of the Tokyo, Yokohama area. And that one day that we did the 6 a.m. recording just to get it out because we had some things going on, we got a text at Shea Station that said, really appreciate that 6 a.m. grind from Jolly and Jerry. I live in Japan, so it's nice to have it out by the time I drive to work. That's what we're here for, man. That's what we're here for. So shout out to Dylan Burke 27. We appreciate you tuning in to us, and I'm sure the other listeners, and hopefully we get to interact with you and enjoy. Let's go Mets from Japan.
Yeah, man, that's so crazy. Mine's going to be @the_koala4 on Twitter. Nick Kowal interacts with all of our Shea Station posts. Been like a listener from, I think, the first episode. He's always in our replies, always bumping our stuff. So I really appreciate Nick. If you're listening, which you probably are because you're a big Shea Station guy, as we know. Longtime fan, longtime Mets fan, huge Jomboy guy. So shout out our friend Nick there. And thank you to everyone that has been listening week in and week out. Our Philadelphia episode did extremely well. Something like 5,000 plays on that episode, which was a crazy new high for us. So yeah, guys, it's been a thrill, and the Mets have been playing really well, so they're just a fun team to talk about right now, for sure.
Let's thank you. We plan on doing more of that. So let's jump into our series probables. We're playing the Arizona Diamondbacks again.
Let's go.
Not too long ago.
Let's go.
So this one's exciting because we're going to see Madison Bumgarner, the kind of newly he looks a little bit like his old self coming back. So that should be a good battle. But in game one, we got David Peterson against Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen did pretty well against us. 4 innings, only 2 hits, 1 walk, 2 Ks. He's got that big curveball. He looked sharp, kind of diced us up for his brief outing.
At the same time, David Peterson looked pretty good in his go against the Arizona Diamondbacks. 4 1/3, no earned runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 4 Ks. So he gets to face them again. As you guys know from the last series we played against them, this is not a lethal lineup. They're not going to put up huge runs on you. They do have some sneaky good pitchers in their rotation with guys like Mad Bum and Zach Gallen. But with this Mets lineup that has put together solid rallies with 2 outs or no outs or whatever happens in that inning, I don't think it's anything that will outmatch us by any means.
Yeah, so in game 2, we got the bullpen game that we talked about. Probably going to be Trevor Williams representing the bullpen, going against Humberto Castellanos. Castellanos against the Mets went 4 innings, gave up no runs, 1 hit, 3 walks, and only 1 K. He looked pretty good. He has that, odd arm angles. He mixes it up. But again, anytime you face a guy for the second time, especially this rapid, it benefits the lineup. And our lineup stacked up against these guys, I'm a big fan of. So.
Yeah, I don't see T-Will probably going more than 3 or 4 innings here in the best case scenario. And then the Mets bullpen is well rested. They only threw 10 in the third innings in the last 4 games because of the length we're currently getting from our starters, especially Cookie, who went 7 2/3 in the final game of that set. So that'll be a bullpen game for game 2 there. Game 3 is the meaty matchup here. It's Tyler McGill versus Madison Bumgarner. Mets fans have some troubling memories of Madison Bumgarner, of course, from 2016. This is a different Mad Bum entirely, but he's looked pretty good this season. 13 innings, 2 earned runs allowed, 8 hits, 10 walks, 9 strikeouts. The walks is the big thing for me here because this is a Mets team that's walking a ton and taking really good at-bats. So Mad Bump's the kind of guy that you can get out in maybe 3 or 4 innings if you're working great counts against him and staying patient at the plate.
Yeah, so this should be a telling series. We're getting Tyler McGill, who's kind of bouncing back from easily his roughest of the year.
Yeah.
But he looked good going in. He's never faced any of the Diamondbacks guys, so that'll be kind of new. James McCann has done well for his career against Mad Bum, 2 for 5 with a homer and 4 RBI. And Jeff McNeil himself is 4 for 10 off Mad Bum. But again, we don't know what version we're going to get. He's looked pretty good. Our lineup is, we should do well against the Diamondbacks. Yet again, you want to win a series, so 2 out of 3 is what you need, but this could easily be another sweep. So that's moving forward, these are the expectations the Mets have put upon themselves.
Yeah, Mad Bum faced, if I'm remembering correctly, the Padres and the Nationals, and I do believe our lineup is better than both of those teams, so I think it'll be a little bit more challenging for him. And yeah, the main goal here is just win every series. That's what we've done so far. We've taken at least 2 of every 3-game set. We took 3 against the Giants there. And just keep that momentum going. We didn't sweep the Diamondbacks last time, but we kept the momentum going. I think it really helped us in the San Francisco series. And then after this, we have the Cardinals coming up, and that'll be a much bigger challenge. We get the Phillies again as well. So, I mean, the Mets get a little breather here, but then it's back to sort of those higher echelon teams.
Yep, so this is got to take 2 or 3 here against an inferior team to give us a chance against the better team. So this is the last of the little, blips, but we got to continue what we've been doing as the team and being prepared and putting the pressure on right away. Take advantage of your better team and don't let up, because these are the ones that'll get away from you. And then in September, when you're chasing down the pennant or a playoff spot or trying to get first seed, these are the games that'll haunt you. So it's important to get out and get the W's.
Yeah. And then around the NL East, we have the Nationals facing off against the Giants. They're at home. Philadelphia will host Milwaukee. That's a really good pitchers versus hitters kind of matchup, so keep your eye on that. And then the Fish, they open a set with the Braves. The Mets have this 4-game lead right now. We have division rivals not really playing each other except for the Fish and Braves, so hopefully you can expand that lead even further. Just give yourself as much of a cushion as you can early in the season. It is a long season, but, every game counts.
Yeah, I'm not looking at the NL East standings myself, but you can if you want. That's not for me. I'm looking at the health and the performance of the team. That's just my player personality. This is how you have to do it. You can't be scoreboard watching just quite yet. So I haven't quite switched over completely to the retirement side, the non-playing side. So I'm still like, hey, this is focus on our team and see where we are. And then eventually, you can start scoreboard watching. But I'll let you do that, Jolly.
Yeah, we need a good contrast for the pod, man. We can't be exactly the same. We already agreed too much as it is,
Awesome, man.
All right, man. You got anything else?
I don't. Thanks for tuning in, man. We really appreciate you guys. This has been fun. This feels like the beginning of a good run for us on Shea Station, because we're really starting to get into that new studio. We're starting to understand our format a little bit better. So if you're a loyal listener and been here, we definitely appreciate you. If you have feedback for our style, whatever the case, we love to interact on Twitter. So hit us up. If you like something, don't like anything, we're here. So fire away.
Hit us up. I like that. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Shea Station. We'll see you guys again on Monday to recap the Diamondbacks series, hopefully a series win. And let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.
And Jerry can hear the music now.
I was going to say, are you going to fake dance? But I can actually hear the music.
Strike three. A career high 15 strikeouts for Jacob deGrom. Alonso to his left, flip to deGrom, and the ball game is over.